We're going to continue in section 1.3 on page 4 of your lecture notes. If we have a function f of x is equal to 2x plus 1, again that means y is equal to 2x plus 1, we can make a t-bar chart, and for every value of x that we have in that column, we can calculate the given value of y. If we look at the distance between each x here, between negative 2 and 1 it increases by 1, between negative 1 and 0 it increases by 1, and so on. If we look at the y value, or the f of x, they increase by 2. Negative 3 to negative 1 is plus 2, negative 1 to positive 1 is 2, and so on. So we actually know what the slope of this equation is anyway, because the coefficient of x is a 2, that's its slope. So if we want to go ahead then and take a look at this slope, we can do so on the chart right here. If we plot the points that we have before, up above, then we can take a look at this slope. That slope we said was positive 2. Positive 2 means 2 over 1. So that means we go up 2, right 1, brings us to the next point. We always had to start at some point on the line. We go up 2 and right 1, up 2 and right 1, up 2 and right 1. If we express 2 as negative 2 divided by negative 1, you might want to write it down so you can look at it. It would be down 2 and left 1, down 2 and left 1, and so on. So we can go up and down the line knowing what the slope is and knowing any single point that's on the line. Here are a couple points that I would like you to try to calculate the slope of. These will be like the examples that are on your practice test. So you can use either one of those two formulas to give you the slope. They're the same. The math on them might be a little bit more difficult than one on the other. And on the problem number 1, there are your two pair of points. So you're going to label 4 and 7. You can label it however you want. So you can say it's x sub 1 and y sub 1. And the 2, 1 you could say is x sub 2, y sub 2. Remember that those subscripts, the pairs have to stay together. So if it's x1, y1 has to go with it. If it's x sub 2, then y sub 2 has to go with it. You can go ahead then and pause the video and work on these problems. On this page, we'll talk about the answers to problem number 1. Here are our two equations again to find the slope. They'll give you exactly the same answer. So what I did on my pairs, I said x sub 2, y sub 2 was this first pair, which means x sub 2 is 4 and y sub 2 is 7. The x sub 1, y sub 1 then is this word pair, so x sub 1 is 2 and y sub 1 is 1. Then we're going to pick and fill in the blank. So the equation that I chose was this equation right here, the first one. So I need the value of y2. The value of y2 is 7, so I put it here instead of the 7, so it goes right there. And then we have a negative sign in between them, so we put that down. And then we need a y sub 1, so we go and see what y sub 1 is. Well, it's a 1. So we're essentially filling in the blank. Then we go to x sub 2. X sub 2 is 4. And then we have a minus, and x sub 1 is the 2, so we have 4 minus 2. Doing the math, then we have 6 divided by 2. 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3. If we take some of those points and we plot them, here would be our points, and with the slope of being 6 over 2 or 3 over 1, they're exactly the same slope. On one of them, what we would do is if we start at this point right here, we would count up 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and to the right 2 brings us to this point. The same equation will give us, since it gives us a slope of 3, this slope could be expressed as 3 over 1. So we could start at this point right here, and we could go up 3 and right 1, up 3 and right 1. So remember that you always have to go straight up or straight down and left or right. On problem number 2, we did the same thing again. We just called 3, negative 1 the point x sub 2, y sub 2, and the other one x sub 1, y sub 1. Again, you can reverse those. So when I fill in my blank again, I have y2. So y2 is a negative 1. It goes first. minus y sub 1, so it's minus a minus 2. Then we have x sub 2, which is 3, minus x sub 1, which is negative 1. So we've got 1 minus a minus 2, which is 1, negative 1 plus 2, which is a 1, and 3 plus 1, which is 4. If you did it a different way, you may have gotten minus 1 over minus 4. They're exactly the same answer. And then we take a look at plotting some of our points. So if we start here, our formula said that we had to go up 1 and right 4, up 1 and right 4, and so on. We're going to take a look at some special cases of lines, and these are going to be horizontal and vertical lines. Horizontal lines have a formula of the type y is equal to b or f of x equal to b. These are our function. So if I wanted to try to graph something like y is equal to 3, what I could do is make a t-bar chart. I know y has to be equal to 3. X isn't mentioned. It can be anything. X could be 0 and y could be 3. X could be negative 3, but y still has to be 3. X could be 3 and y has to be 3. You can see that whatever the point is on it, that the value of y must be a 3. So if I take our 2 points and plot those and draw a line through it, then I'm going to get a horizontal line that is parallel to the x-axis and is 3 units above the axis. Horizontal lines have a slope of 0, just like we would think. If we think of this as being the surface of a room, it's straight across. It doesn't go up or it doesn't go down, so it has a slope of 0. And in fact, we can prove that by taking the 2 points that we have, substituting them in our formula, and we get 0 divided by 6. 0 divided by anything other than 0 is equal to 0, and we can check it because 0 times 6 is equal to 0. So remember, the number on the bottom cannot be a 0, but as long as you have a 0 on top and a non-zero number on the bottom, then the value of that will always be a 0. Vertical lines are equations of the type x is equal to a. These are not functions, because if you take a piece of paper and slide it along perpendicular to the x-axis, at one point it will touch every single point on the line. So an example of this one is like x is equal to 3. Again, why don't you draw a t-bar chart, and at the top of it we know that x has to be equal to a 3. What does it say about y? It doesn't, so y can be anything. So y could be a 4, y could be an 8. So let's just take these 2 points, 3, 4 and 3, 8, and draw a line through them. And that will give us a line that is 3 units to the right of the y-axis and parallel to it. So there's our picture. If we try to look at that slope, it's a vertical line. Vertical lines have a slope which is undefined. We cannot divide by 0. Remember, the first line of class, division by 0 is not possible. We can take our formula and we can give the points numbers and substitute them in. And when we do, we get 4 divided by 0. We cannot have a 0 on the bottom of a fraction. And so remember from the first class that dividing by 0 is undefined. What I'd like you to do here is try graphing these 2 different equations. Y is equal to 4 and x is equal to negative 4. Remember, again, the easiest way might be to make a t-bar chart, and on, for instance, number 1, y is equal to 4, you're going to have over underneath the y column, you're going to have 4, 4, 4, however many calculations you want to do, and then you can pick your values for x. Those are the numbers that you want to plot. So after you've done that, also what I'd like you to do is answer the questions that are at the bottom of this page. What is the slope of y is equal to 4? What is the slope of x is equal to negative 4? And answer if those are functions or not. On the next page you have your answers. Y is equal to 4 is 4 units above the x-axis and parallel to it. X is equal to negative 4 is 4 units to the left of the y-axis and also parallel to it. On your homework, again, you will have some problems that are vertical and horizontal lines. Make sure that you understand that the slope of a horizontal line is 0. The slope of a vertical line is undefined.